What's up guys, Sean Booth from BC Block Nashville. I got some more HYROX tips and tricks for you. Today, we're gonna be breaking down the crowd favorites, the sleds. I'm gonna be going over the sled push and the sled pull. The sled push is going to be your second exercise in HYROX, and the sled pull is going to be your third exercise. Both of these exercises is going to require the most raw strength out of any other exercises in a HYROX race. For the sled push, you are more than likely gonna be pushing more than your own body weights, all right? You will be pushing anywhere from 225 pounds all the way up to 445 pounds, which is the weight for the men's pro division. All right, when we get into the sled pulls, that's gonna range anywhere from 172 pounds to 337 pounds. Both of these exercises will require you to push or pull a total of 50 meters, all right? The length of the turf is going to be 25 meters. You're going to be pushing down and back 2 times, and then when you get to the sled pull, you'll be pulling down and back 2 times. And we've got my mixed doubles partner here. She's also women's pro doubles world championship qualifier, Allie Summers. And when she sets up here, take a look. She is going to have her forearms up against the pulls here. Notice that her weight is leaning forward. And then as she starts stepping here, once she gets it moving, taking nice short steps, all right? Pushing her weight, her energy and force through the sled, into the pulls and down the turf. And the second technique, which you see a lot of people doing, elbows locked out, all right, by her side, but it's gonna bring her body a little bit further away from the sled. And one of the main things for the sled push, you wanna make sure you have planned breaks, all right? Know when you're gonna stop before you get out on the course, all right? Usually it's about halfway. Count to yourself, maybe 5 seconds, 10 seconds, regain your composure, and then you go back to it. And what I don't recommend right here, notice how much further her body is away from the sled, so she has to transfer the force a little bit more, all right? This puts her body in a weaker position. And now for the sled pulls, all right? This exercise, it's a lot about rope management and also, again, energy transfer. So it's not just an upper body workout. You do want to use your legs because a lot of us will need to use our entire bodies to get this moving. Main thing with the sled pull, you are working within a box, all right? It's about 6 feet in length. You cannot step out of the box. Most of us who've done a race, we've all fallen down. I actually fell in the last race. Allie fell in the last race as well. So don't worry if you do, just get back up. And this is the official center rope and center sled that they use at the HYROX races. So I'm gonna pretend like this is my line right here. When I step up to the rope, the first thing I wanna do, reach as far as I can and then create as much tension as possible, all right? We don't want any slack in that rope. And to move the sleds, we wanna make sure that we drive our hips up, all right? And then we're stepping back. You can step back with your hips parallel like this. Some people will step back at an angle, going side to side. But either way, notice that I am going to be stepping over and around the rope here. So a tip for that is when you are stepping, make sure you keep your feet nice and close to the ground instead of taking big steps, which you'll end up falling, all right? So again, make sure you get all of the slack out of the rope and then arms nice and straight. You wanna make sure that your arms basically become the rope. And then I'm going to lift my hips up, use my legs, keep my arms straight, and then I'm stepping back. I have about 6 feet to work with here. I'll drop it and then I'll come back up, same thing. Another technique, which is great for rope management, but requires a lot of upper body strength. Still gonna use your entire body here, but you're gonna keep your feet planted, stand at the end of the box, and then you are simply pulling hand over hand, bring your elbows by your side. Or you can combine the two, which I do sometimes. I will go hand over hands as I am stepping back, and then back to the front of the box, and then same deal. And the 2 ways when I'm pulling and walking back, if I stay parallel with the turf, I try to keep the rope underneath my legs so that I can kind of walk to the side of the rope. But if I am doing a little more of a staggered step, or if I'm faced a little more to the side, that way I'm gonna drop the rope right to the right of me every time. So for Allie, who races women's pro, and with the men in mix, she is pulling a ton of weight. So notice that she is stepping, all right, small steps here. She is using her momentum and using gravity as she brings those hips up to generate that power to be able to pull that rope. And unlike the sled push, you don't really plan any brakes for the sled pull. You just want to keep it moving all the way down the turf. And then your break will be when you finish, and then you're gonna jog it out and go to the other side and start pulling again. So those are the basics of the sleds, all right? And again, they are in the beginning of the race, and the sleds can really make or break the rest of your race. So make sure that you're sticking to the fundamentals, make sure you are transferring the force and energy correctly. And when you're training, load up those sleds. Put as much weight as you can. That way you can make it feel a little bit easier when you get out there during the race. Subscribe for more. We're gonna be doing all types of tips, tricks, breaking down all the exercises for the HYROX. You see all of this equipment right here? This is the official center HYROX equipment right here at BC Block in Nashville, Tennessee. We have everything you need to compete in your first HYROX.